What is the key essential personality trait to happiness and success? I say it's curiosity, and through the course of this video, I am going to explain why. Now, some people will say it's passion, and I love passion because I think, yes, passion is key to success, but I'm sure there are many of you out there, just like myself, who have met passionate people that are passionately wrong, right? So I'm sure we've all been in heated arguments about topics and subjects where someone is so passionate about something, but they're also very closed-minded. So I don't believe it's passion because I think open-mindedness is also a trait that develops out of curiosity that's necessary to happiness and success. Now other people will say it's intellect, right? But how do we define intellect? Some people just say, oh, you have a great educational pedigree. You went to undergrad at Yale and you got a PhD at Oxford, so you must be smart. Or, some people may say that intellect is defined. Don't agree with that. And I think that's true because I went to University of Pennsylvania and I met tons of people that would not consider smart or intellectual that were at that school. Some people may define intellect as having a high IQ. But then again, I've met people in Mensa and I can't remember what the minimum qualification for IQ is to be a member of Mensa, but I met people in Mensa that have no clue about how reality operates in this world. So they don't understand the true paradigms upon which capital markets operate, financial markets operate, politics operate, religion operates. They don't understand anything. They just believe the illusions that we have been taught by the banking elite that have fed us all this propaganda about how the world operates, but they don't understand anything about reality. So I don't believe it is intellect either. I also must say that the people I tend to connect with the most are insanely curious people. And I think there's a reason for that, because curious people tend to be more open-minded because they don't accept what people in positions of authority tell them. And even if it's their parents telling them, I think if you're a good parent, you're going to tell your kid to question you. I think one of the worst parenting techniques that I've ever heard is like when a child asks, why? Well, why mommy? Why daddy should I do this? And a parent says, because I told you so, that you must do it. That is like one of the worst parenting techniques ever, because you're not giving your child an ability to really understand in a logical way why you want your child to do something. So, when we are children, all of us are extremely curious. If you think about it, when we were little, we asked, why is the grass green? Why is the sky blue? Why does the sun rise in the east and set in the west? How can an airplane fly? Where does the wind come from? Why are ants so strong? And then as we grow older, we lose this sense of curiosity. We don't ask as many questions anymore. And this process, we have to realize, is not a natural process of aging. It's not like you become older and your curiosity dissipates. There is a reason why our curiosity dissipates. And I attribute it actually to the educational system. And I'll go into that more in this video. So curiosity is actually what I believe separates the only two kinds of people on earth, and those that are asleep and those that are awake. So curiosity, of course, will lend itself to people awakening. So when you think about it, all these man-made divisions, like religious divisions, like whether you're a Christian, a Muslim, a Jew, a Hindu, a Catholic, whether you are brown, black, yellow, red, white, these kind of divisions, because people tend to gravitate towards those that look like them, think like them, share their religious beliefs, political beliefs, and tend to believe that everyone that is within this group of commonality, common traits, is right, which is ridiculous because there are bad people in every race, religion, creed, belief system. There's bad people. So what you should be doing is you should be exercising your curiosity. You should be asking questions and always questioning authority. And then you'll be more apt. You'll not always reach the right conclusion, but you'll definitely be more apt to reach the right conclusion. And that's why I say curiosity is the most important personality trait, because it separates those from who are asleep from those who are awake, and also it prevents people from making the mistake, and it is a huge mistake, just to believe someone because you share a same religion, a same political belief, a same religious belief, or the same skin color. It's a huge, huge, huge mistake, but people make it all the time. So let's explore why people make this mistake time and time again. Every child knows the fable of curiosity killed the cat. Now, why is that? Why are we being taught as kids that curiosity killed the cat? Think about that from a psychological standpoint, why this myth is being repeated and repeated. Because what that equates to, that curiosity killed the cat, is that we are teaching kids don't be curious. Because look what happened to the cat. He was curious and he ended up dead. So you don't want to end up dead, don't be curious. But in essence, it's telling people, look, be stupid when you grow up. So don't have any more curiosity. Don't ask questions of those in positions of authority that tell you what to believe. So rather, don't make up your own mind about anything. Don't research anything. And that is why we have history, which is his story. So I guarantee you, if you are part of any culture, race, religion that were the victors, your history is all messed up. Your history is a bunch of lies and propaganda, because with history, the victors never do anything wrong, and the losers do everything like tyrannical, everything that is that they label as terrorism. It's always the losers committing this, but the winners, no, we're without fault. We can wash our hands clean because we've done nothing wrong. So you think about it from a logical standpoint, you know that is true, and you know that you do not know anything if you just believe the history that the people in power want to tell you. So who are the people in power? Well, the bankers have always been part of the elite. The bankers have funded every single war in history. And also the bankers are the same people, even though people realize today, because month after month after month, there's some egregious act of criminality that bankers have committed, that bankers are not a trustworthy class, but yet these are the same generational families that have been funding our education. So what does that tell you? Should what you believed in education, should you internalize that as a truth, or should you question it? And that's where curiosity comes into play, is that you need to question everything you have learned, because I have learned from questioning, from not blindly accepting what was taught to me when I was a kid in school, that probably 90% of history was inaccurate. And even if there are facts in there, then the facts were not supplemented. I wasn't given a full view of accurate history because the other side, meaning the losing side, wasn't told. So, we all know, if we're American, about Pearl Harbor, but we don't know about how many Japanese cities we firebombed, about how many Japanese people we killed in Tokyo, like in one night, and in other major cities before Pearl Harbor happened. If we are American, we know how many American soldiers were killed during the Vietnamese War, but we don't know that the amount of Vietnamese people that died during the Vietnam War were many, 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 many multiples of the amount of American soldiers that died, because the losers, nothing is told about any of the atrocities committed against the losers, because we are the victors, we tell the stories, and what we want you to believe is what we are going to tell you. So that translates across everything. It translates not only across like historical education, but translates across politics, religion, and this is why people are so easily brainwashed, that if they are part of an institution whereby they can look at a person in a position of authority that's committing evil acts and turn a blind eye to it, and not think in a logical manner and deduce that this person is wrong. In fact, they're more what's the word I'm looking for? Apt to condone that person's immoral acts just because they are part of this institution that they have been taught is always right, whereas the opposition is always wrong. Here's why this happens. Okay, here's why logical people reach illogical conclusions. Now, there was a very interesting study done in the 1960s of divergent thinking. And the easiest way to explain divergent thinking is it is a thought process which enables one the capacity to come up with multiple solutions for single situation. So convergent thinking, on the other hand, is a process where there's only one right solution. So all processes lead to one correct solution. And that is how the educational system is devised. Instead of to foster creativity, it basically strips away creativity and channels children into this blind, narrow tunnel vision of conformity. So that's why people cannot see the truth today. Now, this study, they followed 1,500 children. Now, when they're aged 3 to 5, they gave them a simple test that measured divergent thinking. And 98% of these children aged 3 to 5 graded out at genius level. Now, guess what happened? Because it was a longitudinal study, so they followed the same kids about 10 years later when they're aged 13 to 15. Guess how many people, now how many of these kids, as very young teenagers, graded out at a genius level for divergent thinking, which is also something that fosters open-mindedness. Now, by the time they're 13 to 15, after being hammered in the institutional education system, 88% of them had lost that genius capacity of divergent thinking. Only 10% of them graded out, whereas 98% of them had graded out at genius level just 10 years prior. Now, by the time kids reached 25, you would think, okay, as you're getting older, you know, there's a saying that, oh, kids are always curious, and, you know, if you think about it, they always say, oh, adults don't have the curiosity of children, but why not? Why is that not possible? That is actually a ridiculous concept when we think about it, although it's a concept that all of us accept, that our curiosity goes as we get older. But there's no genetic reason. It's not built in and programmed into our genetic DNA to become less curious as we age. It is something that is pounded out of us by the educational system. So you would think, you know, you start out in preschool at age 3 to 5, and 98% of children grade out at a genius level, genius capacity for divergent thinking. You would think there's only 2% that aren't. So by the time you get to be an adult, say by age 25, then you've basically reached those other 2%. You have 100% of people in your study grading out at a genius level for divergent thinking. But the interesting thing is, when they got to age 25, they added more people, you know, to get a better cross-section of society. So they expanded that cross-section from 1,500, and they actually looked at 200,000 kids at age 25 and gave them the same test that they gave to the preschoolers for divergent thinking. And so, as I said, if the educational system did its job to enhance critical thinking and curiosity, that you would have now you would get the last 2% that you didn't get at age 3 to 5. You have 100% grade out at genius level for divergent thinking. But guess what happened? By the time kids reached 25, of the sample, 200,000 kids, only 2% graded out. So you lost the 98. Not only did you not get the last 2% that didn't get it at age 3 to 5, you lost 96% of the 98% of the kids that had the ability to think divergently at a very high level when they were 3 to 5 years old. Now, when I was in college, I remember I met a kid that told me he was taking an art class and that he never realized that he could draw and paint very well. So he showed me some of his drawings and paintings, and I was really impressed. I mean, he was a really, really great artist. And I thought, man, how crazy is that? How crazy is it that someone could have this skill and capacity for art, but never know it until they're 19 years old? Like, have no clue for the first 19 years of their life. And that is a good analogy for the education system, because it pounds creativity and it pounds brilliance out of people. There are many brilliant people that go through the education system that do not cultivate their brilliance and do not even recognize their brilliance, because education is all about conformity. And that is why today you have a lot of people that think they are brilliant, that make the mistake that they are brilliant based upon the educational pedigree, based upon the fact that they got a PhD from Harvard or Oxford or MIT or Yale or University of Pennsylvania, Wharton. They think they're brilliant because they have memorized a bunch of facts. Now, anybody can memorize a bunch of facts. So just because you know a lot of facts does not make you brilliant. And that's the whole mistake, because the educational system is built around convergent thinking, to tell you there's one right solution. Memorize this fact and repeat it. It doesn't encourage you to use your critical thinking skills. That is what the banking elite that funded the education system want. They want unthinking robots. So that is why during the financial crisis, they told you, oh, if you do not have a PhD in economics, you're not qualified to tell us what the problem with the global monetary banking system is, which is ludicrous, because even educated scientists, right? They disagree with each other all the time. Just because you have a PhD does not make you the authority on a subject. There could be thousands of other PhDs that disagree with you. So that is what they want. They put the front man out there with some high level of education, say, if you don't have this level of education, you're not qualified to chime in on the debate, which is ludicrous. So they're just telling you that don't use your brain, you don't have a brain, and you're not capable of bringing anything to the table. To prove to you that we have all been conditioned over many, many years through the institutional academic system to think convergently, to believe that there is only one way of looking at a situation and one correct way of looking at a situation, let me explain 4 men to you. The first man willingly, deliberately aids and abets violent drug cartels, and therefore facilitates thousands of murders every year by a drug lord. The second man condones and supports the murder of people without a criminal charge, without the ability of a defendant to prove his or her innocence, and without any due process, which is the mark of any free society, that someone is given the chance, whether they're guilty or not, to prove their innocence in a court of law. The third person is someone that aids and abets the sexual molestation of young children. Now, the fourth person is a man that tries to forcibly and violently expel people that have occupied a land for thousands of years. And when these people fight to retain their ownership of this land, would then label them as terrorists. So let me just tell you who the 4 people that I've been speaking of in this video are, in my examples earlier that I provided in this video. First would be a composite of many global bank CEOs. So it could be many, many different men, but for example, it could be HSBC CEO Stuart Gulliver, Bank of America CEO Brian Moynihan, former CEO of now defunct Wachovia Bank, G. Kennedy Thompson, former Citigroup CEO John Reed, and so on and so on. Second person is President of the United States. The third person is Pope Benedict XVI, and fourth is the Prime Minister of Israel. Now, the interesting thing is that once you give a face and a name to these men, then all of a sudden, people that feel an affinity for these men because they share the same skin color, the same culture, the same religion, then all logic goes out the window. It's really interesting. For example, the third person, if I had not identified that person as Pope Benedict XVI, but instead said, hey, this is a hypothetical man. Let's say he's a religious leader of the Muslim religion. He's an imam. Now, Christians and Catholics would condemn this guy and say what he did is, as far as overseeing a whole bunch of other leaders in his organization that committed and sexually molested children, that is 100% wrong. But if you're a Catholic, then all logic goes out the window. And there are many Catholics that will defend the Pope for his inexcusable actions, which is crazy. So, a lot of facts. What happens is that logical people, in the face of feeling some kind of affinity for an institution, just channel in on convergent thinking. They think there's only one right answer, that there cannot possibly be another answer to what they've been taught through, like that. Hey, our side is always right, the other side is always wrong, and there can't be any people, bad people, on our side. So let me explain why this happens. This has happened not because curiosity killed the cat, as we've been taught as children, but because their curiosity has been killed. And once our curiosity is killed, our whole life spirit is dead. It dies, and our whole vitality and intellect dies. Okay, so here's why I say curiosity is the most important personality trait for happiness and success. Because happiness is always an element of success, no matter how you define success. Some people may say, hey, I want $18 million and then I'm successful. Other people say, you know, money's not that relevant to my success, and I just want to be surrounded by great people who love me and great friends and family, and that's enough. But there's always an element of happiness to that. So here's why I don't think you can be happy if you're not curious. You know, the study I showed you about divergent thinking has already proven that institutional education strips that away from you. And oh, by the way, I will put the information, the description to that study in the link below if you're watching that on YouTube and you want to look that up yourself. Now, if you are curious, then you're going to discover the truth, and your divergent thinking is going to increase, and you're not always going to think, hey, my answer is the only right answer, my way or the highway. You're not going to be so arrogant to disagree with anyone that disagrees with the institutions you're affiliated with, the religions you're affiliated with, the races you're affiliated with. So you're going to consider that there could be more than one correct answer. You're going to consider there could be more than one valid viewpoint. So you're going to be more open-minded, and thus you're not going to be as hateful to other people. You're not going to be as frustrated in discussing certain points that, you know, seem to raise the ire of people that people disagree upon. You're going to be much more open-minded. You're going to be much more kind. So you're also going to have the capacity to know the truth and to see things in a logical way, not be blinded by emotion into this tunnel vision of singularity where you think that anyone that disagrees with you or has an opposition viewpoint is wrong, is absolutely wrong, because there are plenty of people like that in this world. So, you know, the interesting thing is that no one in this world, I think, that's happy says, oh, I love being lied to, or I love the way you lie, other than a pop song by Rihanna. And, you know, but we are conditioned to be afraid of the truth. To, instead of having the truth set us free, you know, you have Neo in the Matrix taking the red pill, and after he ingests it, he sees this dire post-apocalyptic world of austerity that basically sucks. And so we're taught not to seek the truth, but that is a mistake. Now let me tell you why we are conditioned to hate the truth. Because how many among us have heard, hey, do you really want to know the truth about that? And heard people react, no, 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 don't tell me. I don't want to know. I don't want to know. So we've been conditioned to think ignorance is bliss. And now, while the truth may not be this beautiful red rose that smells fragrant, it might be a little harsh, here's why understanding the truth is still important. Because if you don't understand the false paradigms that we've been taught about how to build wealth in this world, about the political systems of this world, about the religious systems of this world, then you do not know how to properly fight back, and you will live the rest of your life as a slave to those people in power, to the moneyed elite, the bankers. So that is why we've been conditioned to hate the truth, is because only the truth can set you free. So you cannot know how to fight back and be free and be happy unless you know the truth. Here's a very quick example of what I mean. Now, if you don't know what the truth is, and you went to Oxford undergrad and you got 15 PhDs from all these top tier schools in the world because you don't understand the truth of the educational system, then you could be this person that's the most educated person in the world, but be employed if you live in Spain or if you live in Greece, because the youth unemployment rate, 25 and under, kids are getting out of school or grad school, is 61.7% in Greece. In Spain, it's 55%. So, no, it is not true. The BS that they tell you that, oh, go to school, get a good education, get a good job. No, not true, because you don't understand that the educational paradigm, why would I want to go to school and become dumber? Because the educational paradigm is to dumb people down, make you conform, and strip away your creativity, your curiosity. But if I was curious, then I would have known 10 years ago, or whenever I was, if I was on a 6-year undergrad program, that, hey, it's more beneficial for me to save hundreds of thousands of euros, not go to these top tier schools, and educate myself so I won't be, my critical thinking skills won't be stripped away through this educational process, and start my own business, and I would be in an infinitely better position today and happier today than I am. But if I am not curious, I don't understand anything about the reality of of institutional academics, about about politics, about the financial market. So I am going to be angry now, unemployed, highly educated according to the what is accepted as the definition of educated, but yet be very angry, and angry at the wrong people too. So I'm going to be more apt to commit stupid hate crimes against people that don't even deserve it, because I don't understand who is causing this chaos in the world. So that is just one prime example of how curiosity is never going to kill you. Like they say, curiosity killed the cat, but it is going to liberate you and make you a freer, happier person. Curiosity is so important to being happy, because you're just going to be a better person. You're going to be more open-minded, you're going to be more tolerant, you're going to be more critical. You're going to enhance your critical thinking skills and think, hey, maybe there's another valid viewpoint out there. So I think that lends itself just to kindness as well. So you're going to spread kindness and love instead of hate and avarice and greed like we have with the bankers today. So let me know what you think below, and also please don't forget to comment. Okay.